It's the Real Estate Podcast, brought to you by ANZ Home Loans for financial well-beings.
And welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate Breakfast, talking your property news, your real estate news 7 days a week, as heard on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts and Amazon. And we know just how expensive house prices in Sydney have become. They have surged by over 20% in the past year across various suburbs. We broke some of that down last week when we were talking with Nicola Powell from Domain. And the majority of the suburbs are now pricier than a year ago, despite a slowdown in the overall market. You've only got to look at suburbs like Burwood, Glebe and Fairlight. They saw price increases of more than 30%, with median prices reaching $3.16 million for some of those suburbs. So the question is, for many people in Sydney trying to get into the real estate market, is what next? You know, what do you do? How do you pivot? Where do you actually end up moving to? Well, we're going to be talking to Krish. Krish and her partner have seen the light and they've decided to move out of Sydney. And Krish, welcome to the Real Estate Breakfast this morning. Nice to have you on.
Hi, thank you so much, Craig.
Now, tell us a little bit about your story. The prices, as I say, they just keep going up and up and up, but you decided, hang on, we're going to do something a little bit different.
Yes, that's exactly right. So the property prices in Sydney were way out of our budget, and we didn't really have a choice but to move further away. And it did work out well because for the price that we put down, we were able to get a house that we were really happy with the land size. Because if we found something like Sydney, it would have been at least 3 times the price.
Okay, so let's break that down. So whereabouts did you move to and what did you end up doing?
We moved to Hazelbrook, which is the mid-Blue Mountains. Initially, we had looked around lower Blue Mountains, which is closer to Sydney. But again, the property prices were really high and also the demand was quite low. We found that, we started our hunt back in early this year and every single Saturday we'd be going up there. Sometimes there was only one property on the market and we'd spend about 90 minutes driving each way for a property that was either not up to our standards or incredibly out of our budget. But we are very happy with the place that we have found. And really the only way we could afford that was by selling property that we previously owned.
You were saying that if you were buying in Sydney, that the cost of it would be, 3 times more expensive. So what did you end up spending in terms of buying where you did?
So initially our budget was, we were looking at just under 1 million, and we did find a few properties that matched our criteria and were under 1 million. However, we did actually get into a bidding war with one of the properties, and we found that in the end, these properties got sold for above 1 million. And so naturally we thought it's best to just increase our budget in the best interest of time. And so we ended up increasing our budget and found a property that matched our criteria for 1.2 million.
So when were you actually ready to buy? Because you said you started having a look at the start of the year. It's quite interesting. Of course, now we're in August, so quite a period of time between the start of the year and August. Were you ready back then?
So back then we were looking a bit more passively. We did go on holiday for a bit as well. After we got back, we really started looking every single Saturday. My partner's property was sold in April this year. So really, as soon as the property was sold, we went really ham and we were trying to find a place as soon as possible. So really from April until we signed in about June was every single Saturday.
So talk to the Blue Mountains area where you've ended up moving to. Were you surprised at just how many buyers were moving into the area?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say the demographic of the Blue Mountains is a bit older people, but we were really surprised to see quite a lot of younger couples just like us at the inspections as well, which makes me think, are there other people from Sydney moving out that way?
What about other friends and family back in Sydney? Have you got friends of a similar age that are saying, gee, we've just been priced out of the market here. This is crazy stuff for first home buyers to contend with?
I would say a couple of my friends are, just because of being able to sustain the quality of life that they want. At the moment, a few of them are still living with their parents as well, again, because of the way the prices are. So I wouldn't be surprised if more people start moving away from Sydney into the regional.
So what is the long-term view here? You bought in the Blue Mountains. Is it for a set period of time? Are you wanting to move out into another area? What's the plan here?
I think this is going to be a really interesting lifestyle change for us, and we're very excited because neither my partner nor I are city people. We love the mountains. So I think this is going to be our semi-forever home until we do end up having a lot more money and moving into a bigger place. But right now, I think it suits everything we need for at least the next 5 years.
And what about the temperature shift? Feeling a little cooler?
Definitely cooler. From everyone that I've spoken to in the mountains, they say it's not as cold as Katoomba, so that's a win. And it's definitely a lot cooler in the summer, which is great because I cannot handle the heat. So I'm really looking forward to having more cooler summers as well.
Yeah, well, that's definitely a bonus if you can't handle the heat. And just for our first-time buyers, hearing the story for the very first time, Blue Mountains, just sort of paint that picture of that particular area that you've moved into. Like, do you know what the population is, etc.?
Not at the top of my head, but it's very small, like tens of thousands of people in the whole of the Blue Mountains. It's more like, you get to know your neighbors, you get to know your town, and it's a very close-knit community, I would say. So I'm really looking forward to getting to know everyone there.
And in terms of an actual mortgage, we were talking about just, how expensive mortgages are, and we have talked about mortgage defaulting. Are you in a situation, you mentioned that your partner has sold his property, so financially not too much of a stress load for you and your partner?
Yeah, thankfully, his property price had gone up quite a lot as well. And so he was able to get a good deal when he sold the property, which meant we didn't have to borrow as much. However, since we did increase our budget, naturally, we did end up borrowing a couple $100,000 more than we had anticipated. But we are in a position we would be fine for our repayments, thankfully.
Yeah, well, that's good news, isn't it? All right then, Krish. Well, thank you so much for coming on to the Real Estate Breakfast this morning. Good luck with you and your partner in the Blue Mountains. And perhaps check in with us in a year's time and let us know how everything is going there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
We help to break down real estate every day to help you better understand the Australian property market.
Well, that's really interesting, isn't it? And I wonder just how many first home buyers perhaps this coming weekend might go for a drive out to the Blue Mountains, do a little bit of checking and sussing out just to see what sort of value they can find. Now, coming up tomorrow for our Saturday weekend podcast, we're going to be revisiting and talking about tiny homes with Louise. And I want to take you back, several months ago, and we were talking to another Louise who got herself a tiny home and started living in a much smaller space. And of course, as far as the energy costs go, it certainly drives that down.
Absolutely. Well, the designer who built the home we were incredibly efficient in terms of materials and projected energy costs. And so we have it double insulated with space in between, obviously the metal on the outside and the board linings on the inside. So we actually calculated about 4 or 5 months ago now. I do use a gas for my hot water in the shower and at the tap, of course, but that's it. I have an electric panel heater, wall heater, which I very rarely use because the tiny house is so beautifully insulated. But we worked out I use $7 a week electricity.
Wow.
pretty phenomenal, and I am completely comfortable. Now, I mean, I'm a single person, so I don't have massive energy requirements but I have got an induction cooktop. So yeah, I mean, you can't beat figures like that. It's really doable.
Now, I've seen the video that they did with your tiny home. It looks just very magical. It's a return to nature where you've got this tiny home sited. How much of attraction was that factor? Because they are smaller spaces. You can get them into areas where there's a lot of trees. You don't need to fell the trees. You can just wheel it on in and back to nature.
Yes, so it can be really easy to park a tiny house anywhere that there is level ground, whether you prefer full sun or shade or whatever. And I've noticed in an increasing way, people with blocks of land offering tiny house owners a place to park their homes, particularly if they are off-grid. And so what that means is in the flush of tiny house interest that's happening in our country and across the globe, people with land are realizing that they can make an income just from offering someone a patch of land to set their tiny house up on. And that has obvious benefits for tiny house owners and for landowners as well. So there can be a mutual benefit there.
I mean, there is just so much land in this country that is not being used. And I guarantee you that there will be people listening to this conversation this morning thinking, well, wait a minute, I've got plenty of land. How do I do this? So what is the go-to? Do you know we'll have this in the links. Do you know the name of the land share place where the website that people can go and check it out?
Off the top of my head, I don't, but I would just do a Google search because I know for a fact that, first of all, you could join any group on Facebook. Just type in tiny house in the search bar and you'll come across innumerable groups, and often people post in there about blocks of land. But there is, and I have heard through Facebook, a lady who operates a community website where people can list their properties or search her database for places to go. Obviously, I think for the people who list their properties, there might be a fee associated with that.
You can join the conversation every week on the Real Estate Podcast. Every morning from 6 a.m. across Australia, we deliver you the latest property news, commentary and predictions from Perth to Cairns and from Melbourne to Brisbane, 7 days a week, only on the Real Estate Podcast.
I know, it's been really exciting actually from the other side, and we also have one of the houses. So it's just been a wonderful experience and fantastic for Phillip Island. Really exciting so far.
What about the locals at Phillip Island and the people that you're talking to with the show going there? I mean, how much of the built-in excitement factor is there?
Oh, look, there's enormous excitement already. Obviously, the contestants have been here working and all the tradies, and it's been fantastic for local businesses. You know, they're obviously getting their smoko from local cafes and eating out and buying furniture, etc. from shops. So it's been fabulous and exciting, really, and it's given a real fantastic vibe to the island.
We connect you to the best real estate information across Australia. The Real Estate Podcast.